All right, what's up, everybody? We are on season 4, episode 9 of Attack on Titan called Brave Volunteers. You know, what can I even say coming off of the previous episode? I mean, yeah, that was absolutely devastating. Obviously, Sasha actually dying in that episode. The most tragic part about it to me is once again, like, yeah, as messed up as it is, and you know, as much as I could kind of just talk about, like, yeah, how it's super sad that she as a character died, and, you know, what a great character she actually was, right? I mean, she was always kind of there for, like, comic relief, of course, you know, throwing in the jokes about, or, you know, how much she obviously liked food. And, you know, I remember that moment all the way back in, like, episode 3 of the first season where she immediately caught my attention and I started calling her Potato Girl or whatever, right? And it's like, man, yeah, we've come a long way, you know what I mean? And it's like, the thing that I wanted to say is like, yeah, the really messed up part about it to me is that I can't even really think too much about her as a character dying, because I kind of just feel like it's literally, the way I treat it is like, it feels like a starting shot, like a, you know, literally just the beginning of much more tragedy that is to come, the way I put it already last episode. And I feel like that's kind of just the direction that we're going in. Now, at the same time, of course, it's really kind of uncertain what's going to happen now. I feel like, you know, the odd part is that actually right now we've kind of arrived at like, okay, now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the season and we're going to actually find out what the plan is, right? Because for 8 episodes now, basically, we were kind of left in the dark regarding the people we have been following all this time. You know, we basically more learned about the Marleyan side of things, and of course we did slowly see that being integrated with the characters that we know and love, and, you know, Eren and stuff, obviously. Yeah, but then last episode you literally find out that, like, Eren here had a plan of his own and basically was executing that not with the agreement of the Survey Corps itself. You know, Levi literally kicking his ass there in that scene. And then things got even crazier because they actually managed to capture Zeke, of course. And it basically was revealed that, like, Zeke and Eren are on the same page. And this is something that they, I assume, have together been planning out. Yeah, and you know, I have no idea what to expect. Once again, I hope that we're kind of going to learn now what maybe actually, I could see that kind of happening, that maybe this episode will dive into the years from season 3 to 4, or we're simply going to find out through conversations in the present time about what actually they've been up to and stuff. But yeah, actually, I'd be kind of fascinated to see maybe an episode like that play out. But again, I have no idea if I can expect that, but just like an episode showing you kind of exactly what happened in that time span, right? But, you know, that being said, it's just like, this is the thing that I don't understand, right? How can Eren and Zeke be on the same page? Then what are they actually planning then, right? Because wasn't Eren sort of executing his dad's plan, which the dad sort of seemed to get from Eren himself back in the Marleyan time with Eren Kruger, right? Assuming that those Erens are the same, I would assume so, but in some weird messed up way that we're still going to learn about. But like, yeah, this is, again, like, I have no idea what the plan even is, right? You know, like, and even what necessarily, for example, what was, because I even rewatched. It's funny because as basically as this episode is now going live, or the previous one did or whatever, and on YouTube it was the one with Eren Kruger that went live, and so I rewatched that, right? And yeah, even there, when Eren Kruger is having that conversation with Grisha, it's not really made clear to me, like, what Eren Kruger's actual plans are. Like, you know, he's giving Grisha these instructions and stuff, but what the ultimate end goal is with stealing the Founding Titan powers doesn't really become clear yet. So once again, we end up in the situation right now where, like, we know what characters are doing. We know what they, certain directions they could be going in. Like, again, I would imagine a simple scenario to think about is that that Eren wants to simply wipe out the whole world, right? That's a way, obviously, to avoid oppression of his own people, is to just wipe out literally the rest of the world. I mean, that's something that he can do. Is that what he actually plans to do? If that's the case, why, for example, did he even retreat in this? Because they were winning in that moment, dude. They were winning in the assault episode. They could have easily gotten the power from Peak. They could have gotten the power from. Yeah, I mean, again, like they actually did damage there, right? That's what I'm saying. Their enemy was destroyed. Reiner as well. Like, he was destroyed in that moment. He couldn't do anything. And it's like, no, they left him there. So what is their actual plan? Clearly, they don't feel like they need all the Titans on their side. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Zeke did say that basically all they needed was the founding Titan and somebody with royal blood, right? Which is Zeke himself. And that's basically all they needed. So I guess that's what they figure. Like, okay, I mean, it's okay, we can just do it this way or whatever the hell, and maybe that way we can avoid any sort of extra Eldian casualties, which obviously destroying Peak and Reiner and stuff would still be Eldian casualties, so kind of their own people. So maybe they figured they can just, like, wipe out the world now, without having to, like, as soon as basically the whole world is destroyed, then it also means freedom for their people, right? And, like, that would make sense, because Zeke is... Zeke very much cares for all those people there, obviously, and stuff, right? So, again, I'm kind of thinking here on the spot and coming to the conclusions that I probably could have already drawn if I thought about it a little bit more in advance, but with this show, you can just think about all the angles for so long, and you'll consistently keep reaching new conclusions. That's just the thing. That's the funny thing as well, I never feel quite prepared to start a new episode reaction these days. Because I constantly end up, asking myself, well, have I thought everything through enough, right? Maybe a couple extra things that I can still mention is that we know, obviously, so they have Zeke now, and so they actually also have 2 new people on board that we learned about, and one was the female soldier who I confused with being Armin at first at the beginning of the season. She's, I think, called Yelena. I could be wrong about that, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. There was another one who had a really complicated name, so I'm gonna watch the next episode and probably see him being brought up again. Him or her, I don't even know if it was a him or her, but figure out what that one was called again. I mean, what else is there for me to say? Once again, the main thing was obviously Sasha's death regarding that episode, and so I wonder if we're actually going to get some type of ceremony or something in the coming episode, or if we're going to simply move on already. Because it feels like, I mean, this is the last season, so it's like we have, 18 episodes left now. I mean, it's not a lot of time to wrap everything up, right? Well, I will say that, of course, we know there's still going to be something coming afterwards. But then again, it's not too much left, is what I'm saying. I'd actually be kind of fascinated where we go now, because I assume we're going to go back to sort of, Paradise Island, and we're going to get back in touch with Historia, for example, and kind of figure out where to go from here, like I already said. So that's the big question right now. What do we do moving forward? No pun intended. So, with that being said, of course, the next 8 episodes are already up over on Patreon. You can check those out right now. We'll actually have started the second half of this final season, which is, of course, the half that people have recently been watching. Super excited to get into that. You can already get started with me. Again, by supporting over on Patreon, which is linked on top of the description, along with, of course, full-length reactions and OVAs if you want to check those out as well. But for now, let's get into this new episode of Attack on Titan called Brave Volunteers. Is this Armin talking? Oh, he's holding the shell. Oh, we are actually going back in time. Okay, so, wow, this is exactly what I theorized about. This is what they talked about, how they kept losing soldiers going over there, right? Yeah, these guys are basically also completely in the dark about the whereabouts of the people on Paradise Island. Holy shit, he's just carrying the ship along with him. This is Hanji, right? Oh my god. Crazy as ever. Oh my god, this is kind of terrifying. Thank you, Levi. I love Hanji's performance. Fair argument. Did he hit anybody or one of his own people? Oh, it's this one, yeah. Wow, they already had a bunch of people on board. So this is kind of how they this is kind of how they established contact with Zeke, I assume, right? By the way, guys, one thing that I should really quickly point out, if you aren't already, make sure, of course, you subscribe to the channel. That's something I never really point out. But I always notice that there's a lot of people watching these reactions that actually don't subscribe to the channel. Of course, we know there's going to be still something coming after the second half of the season. And it would be a real shame if you missed out, of course, on my reaction to it. Yeah, you know, assuming that that will happen at some point down the line in, you know, a year from now or something, then you'll want to make sure that you're subscribed, of course. So please do that. Thank you. So now we still get to see some of Sasha. They're trying to rub that in, aren't they? I guess they don't really have like regular pistols over there and stuff, right? Okay, so they're informing them about all their equipment. I guess the goes both ways. Right. Oh, they're not stupid either. I love Levi's cold approach to this whole thing. Zeke, right? Yep. What is it with people obsessing over others as gods in this show? Okay, so we're still not gonna know. Okay, now he's actually telling them, because this is information he had withheld so far, right? Hmm. Yeah, because he was afraid that they would have to use his story in some type of way, yeah. Pixis is just spectating. Okay. They're tricking them. Yeah, nice stage play. Damn, dude. Oh, wow.
汚れた悪魔の汚らわしい島へようこそ。もてなしてやるよ。豚のしょんべんでよろしければな。
Using their own language.
上陸許可は下りない。
確かに僕たちエルディア人は世界から恐れられ憎まれている。でも海の向こうにいる人たちは敵だけじゃなかった。
ところでおにゃんぽこんはなんで肌が黒いのですか？
俺たちを作ったやつはこう考えた。いろんなやつがいた方が面白いってな。
誰が僕らを作ったの？
始祖ユミルに力を与えた存在、神だよ。
We're gonna go really deep with this now, man. Getting into some, like, yeah, religious stuff.
これ食えんのか。くそ。嫌なら食うなよ、エルディア人。お前らなんかに食わせてやる。
Oh my god, they really had to make the moment of last episode even more sad, right? I don't think I've ever had lobster.
もうすぐ港が完成するんだ。そりゃ最初はお互い疑心暗鬼でうまくいかなかったよ。でも時間をかけて肩書きを抜きにして人同士向き合えば。
時間はねえぞ。ジークの寿命はあと3年もね。
本当に地ならして世界を脅すことでしかエルディア人を守る術はないのかなって。マーレや世界中の人と話し合って誤解を解けば。
誤解？誤解って何のことだよ。
だから僕たちは怖くないって。
世界から見れば俺たちは巨人に化ける怪物だ。そこに誤解はないだろう。
Aaron's basically saying it's not a misconception. That's who we are, yeah.
マーレ人もいる。
何人だ？
Oh, wow.
本当に僕たちは正しかったのかな。僕は誰よりもエレンを理解しているつもりだった。ミカサよりも。でももうわからない。
Kind of seems like Aaron is also slipping out of his control, because I feel like, again, I've said this in a previous episode a long time ago, but I felt like Armin kind of always kept Aaron sane, and now Aaron really is just following his own gut. Damn, this Niccolo is getting it from all directions, isn't he? Yeah, he made her the food. Oh, so he was, yeah, obviously sitting at her grave. Oh. Yeah, with who she lived in the forest and stuff. I remember that episode.
娘さんは俺の料理を誰よりもうまそうに食べてくれました。だからもしよかったら
So
俺の
nice.
料理を食べに来てください。
もちろんただなんやろ。
はい。
That's awesome. I'm actually a little bit surprised by the fact that, like, we saw a whole family now or something, right? But we only saw her dad in the backstory episode.
陰謀を明るみに出す。祖父祖母の命はないだろうな。だがお前の言う秘策とやらが本物なら。
寛大なお言葉に感謝いたします。だが俺をエレンと合わせるのが先だろ。
Yeah, again, I've been waiting on that conversation.
最上級のホテルを用意したんだ。
なあ、睨むのやめ めてくれない。
マーレから奪ってきた巨人化の薬はこれで全てです。しかし複製は困難でしょう。
諸君らには借りしかない。無知な我々を希望へと導いてくれた。諸君らの勇姿を疑うことは悪魔の修行に等しくあろう。
残念です。私たちが持ち込んだこの銃はエルディア人に自由をもたらす銃なのに。
虫のいい話ですまんが、我々の弱さにしばしの間だけ目をつぶってくれぬか。ジークに枷をかけぬわけにはいかんのだ。俺のホテル、これ
何か不満でもあるのか。巨大樹の森だ。
I was gonna say, is it the same place?
立体軌道でたくさん遊べそうだしな。
No, I mean, it just reminded me of the forest where Aaron and Reiner and stuff were holed up.
エレンは一人でもやるつもりだった。エレンに協力しても見放しても最悪の選択になっただろう。僕の道は断たれたけどやるしかなかった。あの日の君たちのように。ねえ
Annie? Oh, wow.
何か答えてよ。
Is she gonna open her eyes? Oh, okay. That would have been something.
勝てば生きる。
戦わなければ勝てない。戦え。
I've heard that before.
戦え。
Wow. All right, man. All right, well, that was nice. I mean, it was once again kind of one of these overview type episodes that I've talked about in the past, how I noticed kind of a pattern that the show has been doing this for a long time, is that every single, time after basically like a little mini arc or something ends, or there's been like a huge fight, they kind of, calm things down again and kind of get you on the same page with the story, if that makes sense, and to kind of understand, like, this is everything that's been going on that you were so confused about before, right? I will say that a lot of this stuff I was already able to figure out, so that was kind of nice about it. The main question that I immediately think about, though, after seeing this is, once again, and it's the same question that I asked at the beginning when I recorded my intros, like, where do we go from here, right? Like, what's the plan? What they keep talking about is this rumbling, right? And the rumbling basically is to sort of like, to use Eren together with Zeke, who has royal blood. That way he can use his Founding Titan's powers, which that is called the rumbling, I guess. And it allows them to just like steer these, I assume it's like to steer these colossal titans that are in the wall. And that way, like, yeah, I mean, wasn't it mentioned that it was literally like millions of them or something? I think it was, right? And that makes sense because obviously these walls, like especially the outer rings or whatever, they must be huge, right? Didn't they span like hundreds of kilometers? I feel like that's a bit of information we got way back in season 1. So go figure how many titans are actually making up these walls. It's probably like insane. I don't even know how they're gonna animate it if we actually get to see it in the show or something, right? But it's so cool to me how like the Titans in the walls is something that was teased. I remember it. It was teased at the end of the first season, right? We got a little glimpse of like a Titan peeking in. I remember how I didn't get it because I thought it was actually, I once again called it a Titan peeking in, but it wasn't really that. I thought it was a Titan peeking in from the outside, but it was actually a Titan literally locked up in these walls, right? And yeah, I mean, we didn't figure out for a very long time what that was about. Basically until the That Day episode, I think it was, where they talked about how the king had used these titans to form these walls and stuff. So awesome. But again, like I kind of wonder, okay, so what they figure now is that now that the Marlians also know that Zeke and Eren are together, they now possess the ability to use the rumbling or whatever, right? And that will allow them to for now at least have the upper hand and stuff. Then again, they keep mentioning how I think Zeke and I think Eren is the same way, right? They don't have long left. I actually don't know, but so I think Zeke, it was mentioned that he had like 3 years left, but that was in the scene, which was still 3 years earlier or something, right? I feel like we may have gotten that information also in one of the first episodes of season 4 already. Again, it's like hard to sometimes keep track of everything going on, but again, I feel like Eren isn't he kind of like Eren as well? Doesn't have that much longer to go, right? I'm not exactly sure how long, but so they kind of I guess Eren figured that they had to sort of like move fast, and that's why he then went along with his own plan there, because he desperately wanted to get Zeke and whatever to do what they needed to do, I guess. And like the episode still very much sort of delved into the morality of it all, with of course Armin, who once again talks about like all the I mean Armin is always approaching it sort of like from the, well, I mean, kind of that's what we saw previously as well, that he was kind of approaching it from Berthold's side, or he was seeing like what it must have been like, because he's realizing that he has to do shitty things right now, and still of course for what he does think is kind of a just cause, I guess. But like I find it interesting because again, Eren sort of shows much more of a like cold approach now again, where he doesn't really care. And the confusing part still is to me like, okay, but what are they actually trying to achieve then now? Because yes, you have the upper hand right now, and you have the ability to use this rumbling if you want. Are you going to though? And what are you going to do? How do you want to establish? Yeah, again, I mean, that's still the question. Do you want to actually sort of establish a situation where your people are safe and where you can free all the remaining Eldians that are still back in Marley or whatever? Or do you want to, do you figure that it's literally impossible to do that, and so the only way to accomplish what you want is to literally wipe everybody out? That's still kind of the question that I'm asking myself right now, and that I don't think we really got a clear answer on. And so that's, interesting, of course. Another thing I should mention that I'm thinking about right now is like how they mention how Yelena, and I gotta talk about her as well, but like her soldiers, they gave Pixis and the people in the Survey Corps some of the injection stuff or whatever, and they figured like that they wouldn't be able to reproduce much more of it, but like Pixis said, nah, it's fine, this is enough. I wonder like what do they want to use it for, because what can they actually use it for other than to turn people obviously into Titans, but the only way would be to, I guess, to carry over powers, right? So maybe then they do I don't know. I mean, I'm once again thinking out loud, but maybe they do figure that eventually they'll be able to get Annie's powers, or maybe Zeke's powers after all, even though he's royal blood, and so that's definitely a reason why they definitely need to keep him alive for now, once again. Or maybe to carry over literally Eren's powers or something, right? Like, I mean, and Armin eventually. I mean, all the Titans that they possess so far, I guess that's what it's for, to like maintain the ability to keep the powers in their hands, right? So, again, it's like super fascinating stuff. And we learned there about Yelena and her some of her soldiers. I think their kind of motive was that they were sort of forced to fight for Marley, and they didn't want to in the first place, and so that's why they saw Zeke as a way out of that, I guess. But other than that, a great episode, of course. Of course, I have to mention how they had to bring Sasha back here and like show some awesome scenes with her to rub in that moment just a little bit more. And it was cool again to see that like moment, and to see I forget what he was he called Piccolo or something, but like the soldier who was feeling bad about it, and who remembered giving her that food and stuff, and how much she appreciated it. And we saw Sasha's family there, but I think, if I'm remembering it correctly, that like in that flashback or like backstory episode of Sasha back in season 2, I think it was season 2 episode 2, right? We saw her living in the forest with her dad, so I didn't even know that she had we saw a mom here, and I think even a sibling or something, right? But like I didn't even know that she had that. But I could be simply remembering things wrong. Once again, this is why it's always hard to keep track of literally everything going on in the show. But that being said, I hope you all enjoyed my reaction, of course. Like I said, the next 8 episodes are, of course, up over on Patreon right now for you to check out. We have started season 4, the second half over there, which I think is episode 17. So that will be linked on top of the description. You can catch up all the way with the next 8 episodes, along with full-length reactions and OVAs, of course. I'd very much appreciate it. But then for now, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you back in the next one.